And it's so fundamental that you do this. That way you don't go down a pathway for a day, a week, or 10 years of your life. I literally know people that have been in industries for 20 and 30 years. They hate their lives. They hate the industry. They have no options whatsoever because they spent too long in an environment they don't even embrace. I've had a lot of people ask me, hey, how did you decide what your career was going to be? And, how did you just kind of luck into joining the right company or the right platform? In my opinion, this is a very vastly under-communicated topic. People, even the career counselors, your mentors, everybody hey, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? And the problem with that question, I think, is the options are so vast. I mean, I've just come up with a very different formula for figuring out what it is you're going to become, who you are, what your natural skills are. And I think the first question you should be asking yourself is not what you're going to do, but what you aren't going to do. And the thesis behind this, my theory, is that if you can determine, it's much easier, like human beings tend to be, it's easier to be negative. Okay, so the first thing Gary does is, okay, gosh, let's see. Now, I studied economics and marketing in college. I went and took one of these tests. And what did the test tell me? The test told me, oh gosh, Gary, you have sales ability. Go be a salesman. Which is the last thing I wanted to be, by the way. So I went and actually followed that pathway and said, okay, look, I'm a salesman. Started applying for lots of jobs. I left college, no clue what industry I was going to go into, no clue as to what my natural skills were. And I hadn't ever thought about what don't I want to do. And so in a moment of confusion, which I maintain that somewhere between the ages of 0 and 22, I was totally confused. Probably up to 30, I was confused on many, many, many subjects. And career is not a subject you want to mess up on. So I found this little hack, and the hack is basically, before I decide what I am going to be, why don't I decide what I'm not going to be? In response to a job offer that I applied for, that I was just applying for jobs. I wasn't like planning my career. I was literally, can someone hire me to pay me some money? Which is not a long-term strategy. That is a short-term strategy. I get a pharmaceutical company interested in hiring me. I go through all their testing. I do 3 days of selling to doctors and nurses. And I'm like, I hate this job. No chance did I spend, somewhere between 8 and 16 years of my life in school to end up talking to doctors all day long, convincing them to buy some drug that I'm not even sure works. I quit that job just because I'm like, there's no way I'm going to do this. And then I started thinking about all the other things I wasn't going to do. And it's a really easy list, okay? This is where you get to magnify the things you're not good at, okay? I'm not a detail guy. I'm good at details at a high level, but I'm not going to go in and move every little item and make sure everything balances to 0. I'm not great at the organizational stuff. I'm very good with new people. I'm very good with creating ideas. See, I got off into what I'm good at. Let's get back to what I'm not good at. I don't like HR. I don't like big meetings. I don't want to go into committees and talk about things that might happen 3 years from now. I'm an action guy. I want someone to give me a goal and let me go hit the ball, right? So, Gary, we need to get on first base. Get on first base. I don't have to hit the ball. I could bunt. I could, walk. There's a lot of ways for me to get on first base without hitting the ball. Well, not a lot of ways, but there are ways, right? Which means that there's ways for you to have a great career, and whatever pathway you're following to get on a platform, a great career. I think a great career is finding the right platform. For instance, I think Sam has found an awesome platform here. Now it's up to him. Hey, how much of this can you really, really leverage, right? Because I'm not bothering him with a bunch of stuff he doesn't like doing. So the whole key here is, how can Gary or how can you reduce the amount of chances you're taking for your career by removing all the things you really just don't want to do or you're not good at naturally doing. I'm not saying that you don't have to do some things in your career that aren't fun. I've gone years doing stuff I didn't want to do, but I had to do it at the time. For instance, when I start a business, I don't hire 13 salespeople. I actually go sell the product and figure out what the best pitch is for the sale. And then I bring someone on and I give them that model and they can tweak the model. So I knew I wasn't going to be an engineer. I knew I wasn't going to be a rocket scientist. I knew I wasn't going to be a doctor. I knew I wasn't going to sell to doctors. I'm not going to be a prostitute. I'm not going to be a criminal. I'm not going to sell drugs. What else am I not going to? I'm not going to work for bad people. I will not work for a major bank. I knew that wasn't the right feeling for me. Also, I didn't want to work in a small business. I wanted to work in a really big business. Now, that took me a while to understand, but the bigger the business, the bigger the industry for me was really, really exciting. I cannot work in a bureaucratic environment. I am the worst human being to work in an environment that has a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of meetings, a lot of levels, a lot of, process where everyone's vanilla. I don't do well in that environment. Now, let's assume that I've become successful. This is one of the things I've learned through success is once a company gets to a certain level, I get less interested. So and it's actually, I have figured out at about 180, 300 people, somewhere between 200 and 300 people, probably even a little bit smaller than that, I began getting not anxious, but bored. I see a lot of inefficiencies. I see meetings that take place. I see conversations, communications, decisions. Everything slows down. And that doesn't mean that it's bad. What it means is that I'm probably better off at 200 to 300 people starting to look for someone. Probably at 100 people, I should start looking for someone that can deal with the volume of people in a better way than I might. I'm just not going to have the patience for 300 people that other stewards, for instance, the guy that took over for Steve Jobs, he has absolutely crushed it in that I'm not sure Steve he didn't have the skills or the natural capabilities, the natural inclination to expand Apple in a way that was, it's been awesome. So, like the point of my story is that everyone has a unique skill and those skills have applications at different stages of a company or business's evolution. That's really all it is. And by the way, I think people confuse a career with a title. Okay. Me being the CEO of a company, one, what does it even mean? I just have the ultimate responsibility. If I'm a founder and I have a great idea, I have a responsibility to take this idea and the little family I built around it and give it to someone that can manage it and build it better than I can. This is why it's so important for you to know what you don't like to do. For instance, I own a fairly large interest in a tech company, and I knew going in, hey, these tech guys don't really want to be on the front of the tip of the spear. They want to be in the back building things. So I knew when I went into the investment, hey, at some stage, probably a year to 3 years, I'm going to have to find someone who loves being the outward facing person, who loves having meetings, who likes traveling and seeing people and having dinners, breakfasts, and more dinners. That is so essential. And oftentimes, someone who creates an idea, finds the idea, develops the idea, is not the best person to then proliferate that idea across the marketplace. Further, some people like me will look at something that's been built for a particular use case, like Node 40. Node 40 was built for a particular use case, But I look at the tool and go, oh, wow, there's so many other applications that this data pulls, and I can extract the data and create other products and, in fact, other verticals that make the company really valuable. So you just need people thinking outside the box once you have an opportunity. And by outside the box, I don't mean 17 blocks down the road. I mean out of the box thinking as it relates to a product that can be modulated or tweaked just a little bit to serve a different application or use case. There isn't anyone that I can't do this with. And like building your career is not a 9-month project. I can literally do this in a weekend with somebody. In fact, I'd be okay with running a couple of these where we brought people in and they had a consulting session for a day and a half. And you will walk away from this very, very clear on what you're not going to do in your career. That is massively important, okay? Because there's going to come a point in time when you join a platform, that platform's expanding. By platform, I mean any business or person who allows you to flex your muscle, okay? That's a platform. I need a platform that allows me to be great, the Gary great, and Grant, my brother, needs a platform. He built his own where he could be Grant great. And if you're Bob or Sam or Larry or Mary, I want you to focus on what you can be the greatest at, right? Why? Like when Elon builds a spaceship, he doesn't say, hey, let's go test this in the water. It wasn't built for the water, right? I know that's a really stupid analogy, but I see people often spending 6 years doing engineering in college, and then they go to work for McDonald's, or they aren't doing engineering, or they're selling, and they wonder why they're failing. Okay, because they're not doing what they like is natural to them. So what else can I say about this? If you reduce the amount of things you're not looking at, the world becomes very clear on those few things that will attract you or you're attracted to. I have to get all this noise out of my head. Okay. I'm not going to be a doctor. I'm not going to be an engineer. I'm not going to Mars. I'm not going to do rockets. I'm not going to be an engineer. I'm not building bridges. Let's see. I don't want to be a mechanic. I do not want to live on a boat. I don't know anything about boats. Gosh, how's Gary going to make a living? Well, I want to create things. Okay. I want to create things and then I want to sell them. Okay. What? I like really chaotic environments. I don't like boredom. Oh, really? Gary likes exciting, challenging, dynamic environments. Oh, that's a disruptive moment. Okay, so now I know. Oh, Gary, now it's all starting to come together. See, Gary doesn't like to work in big organizations. It doesn't mean that big organizations are bad. It just means that Gary doesn't do well in highly bureaucratic environments. That doesn't mean that everyone doesn't do well. There are people that do exceptionally well in these big companies, and they're needed. For instance, Tim Cook. He was badly needed at Apple, and he's done an exceptional job for, I think, the employees, the shareholders, and the customers. He's done an awesome job. What else? What else do I don't like going to long meetings. Okay, so guess what? I'm probably not the guy to have 300 people working in it, and HR even has any kind of discussion. Like, I don't like HR people. I've never seen HR do anything. I'm not saying they're not valuable and not needed. For me, I've never seen HR. Once you need an HR team, it's time for me to go, because I'm not going to talk about, oh, well, Sam showed up here 10 minutes late. Like, if I have to worry about who's showing up 10 minutes late, I don't want to do this job. Like, I don't need it, right? So I don't want the headache. And even when I did need to work and I didn't have the freedom or the option I have today, I still didn't like all the non-productive meetings. If you have a guy like me, let's say I'm working on your platform, don't send me to elongated discussions and meetings. I'm not useful to you there. I am useful on the street, man. Don't ask me to come into the office because everybody else is here. Everybody else is there because they don't have enough contacts. Like, very few businesses spend money internally with their salespeople. Why would I be talking to a bunch of people? If my job is to generate revenue, why would I communicate with my own team more than I communicate with the world outside? See, that makes no sense to me. So now I know, oh gosh, I can't go to work for Chevron. I can't go to work for Exxon. I probably can't go to work for Goldman Sachs unless they give me a division to run and they leave me alone, which ExxonMobil is never going to do. ExxonMobil is never going to, hey, Gary, here's $1 billion. Go build something. Now, I do believe venture guys will do that. Okay. Investment houses will do that. But large corporations are not situated to let guys like me go create their own sandbox. And maybe I do okay, right? Maybe I blow their company up, create brand problems. This is a problem for large companies, though, because there are so many startups and venture people that would hire a guy like me to literally just go look at another industry or business and say, hey, go find every exploitable gap in these industries and let's build around that. It's taken me many years, but from the age of 22 to 27, I struggled with the platform. The good news is I always had a job during that period, even if I messed up. If I got fired, I would then go find another job. I pivoted. I constantly went back into the workplace between the age of 21 and 27 until I found my spot, man. And when I found my spot, I didn't move for 17 years. All I did was I knew this company was the right platform for me culturally. They would let me be as much me as any other company was ever going to let me be me. That doesn't mean I could just be Gary, crazy Gary, immature Gary. I would get corrected, but they didn't hammer me over bullshit. They then allowed me to go to England and almost no supervision whatsoever. And I spent 10 years there. It was a win for them and it was a win for me. So I learned, oh, wow, if you put me under a tremendous amount of pressure and remove everybody above me who's going to make bigger decisions than me, I will actually raise my game to the level of being able to be successful for the team that I'm showing up for. And if I stay there, if I stay focused on what I'm really great at, I have never, run into problems. It is when I deviate from my core experience, I start thinking, let's see, I'm getting a little older. I need to become a better manager. Every time I have done this, it has been a major problem. That one, hey, I need to be a better manager and delegate. That cost me $120 million 1 year. Okay, hey, let me delegate a little bit. Let me teach Sam how to trade $1 billion of the most violent commodity in the world. And okay, he's underwater a little bit, but I'm gonna let him. I can't step in over him because I'm going to overwhelm him. I need to learn to delegate. He's only going to get better if he delegates. You know what? It didn't work at all. Like I should have kept my nose to the railroad, heard the vibration. Hey, this market, I don't care. This market, something is wrong with this market. I would have assessed that so quickly. Instead, I thought about building a larger company, management, all this stuff. And I should have just stayed really tight on what I'm really great at. Now, having lost all that money, I don't know anyone that's done what I've done over 30 years in commodities that hasn't lost a shitload of money before. It is part of the game. The question is, can you have a loss like that and recover? Or do you go into hiding and go, okay, I can't do this again? The recovery, funny enough, no one ever asked me about, hey, what did you do after that? They always are like, oh, you lost that much money? It was very painful. And no one ever asked me, hey, how much money did you make before? Also, they just, wow, how could you lose that much money? I took my eye off the ball. I mean, and we made some mistakes. I made some fundamental errors that I had not calculated. And I delegated some responsibility. That was a massive, massive, massive mistake. And funny enough, I'm actually a very good delegator, but I think you can over delegate. Most certainly. So I'm going to finish up right here because I've been yakking 20 minutes. Figure out what you're not going to be. Figure out what you're not going to do. Figure out the gifts that God, the universe, the commercial genius, whatever that is out there. What gifts did you not get? Once you figure out the gifts you did not get, then you will not be bothered with thinking about any of those businesses, and you'll be left with, okay, I have some natural ingredients, I have some natural inclinations, I'm motivated in a particular area. That's the area that you go to. And you just keep looking in the mirror all along that pathway and asking yourself, is this right for me? Am I going to love doing this, enjoy doing this for the vast majority of my life? Is there enough here to keep me entertained and excited? If you are entertained, if I am entertained and excited, and if I'm exciting and entertaining, there's no way that I cannot be successful. I cannot be exciting and entertaining and have fun and passion if I'm doing something I don't even like doing. So I don't think this is overly complicated. I could probably become a pretty good career coach because no career coach has asked these questions. What are you absolutely not going to do? And it's so fundamental that you do this. That way you don't go down a pathway for a day, a week, or 10 years of your life. I literally know people that have been in industries for 20 and 30 years. They hate their lives. They hate the industry. They have no options whatsoever because they spent too long in an environment they don't even embrace. And it's really sad to watch. And it's unnecessary. And it's really not productive. So figure out who you are and figure out what you're going to be. It'll be a lot more fun than somebody else figuring out for you.